We're sitting here today with Mark Westwood, who's a Democratic candidate running in the 63rd State Assembly District. And this is a last-minute interview with him. And again, this proves that if you show up to our meetings, good things can happen to you. And good things are happening for Mark because he showed up at our meeting and we're putting him on our show so you guys get to meet him. Mark, it's good to see you. And
good to see you too.
Yeah, well,
I'm good company.
Yeah. So tell us, Mark, you're running for the 63rd State Assembly District, and what qualifies you to be a state assembly person?
Well, I have been active in politics for quite some time. I've been a Parks and Rec commissioner for the city of San Bernardino. I've been the chapter president of a couple of nonprofits, run local farmers market nights in Highland, San Bernardino, and Yucaipa. And through those organizations and those affairs, I've become quite good at organizing, quite good at knowing the issues, and I need to get to Sacramento to make sure that our issues are heard.
Yeah, well, we need someone in Sacramento that can talk to. I assume Arnie's going to get reelected, so we need somebody.
Oh, I'm not admitting that.
You're not going to admit it?
No. That's it's October 11th right now, and we're working very, very hard. And if you don't know Phil Angelides like I know Phil Angelides, I know not to discount Phil Angelides because he's very good at pulling some great stuff off, and he may be our next governor. So don't sell Angelides short.
Well, I know that Governor Schwarzenegger acted like a real girly man when he vetoed the hemp bill and vetoed the health care bill. What have you got to say about that?
Well, he does that a lot. He panders is what I call it. And, he's good at calling people what he feels that he is, I guess, and transferring his own image onto other people. And that's Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger for you. He doesn't understand the issues. He doesn't understand what he's doing. But he panders to people and thinks that he's doing a good job. And that's why he needs to go out of here, Arnie.
Well, I liked his films, and someone suggested that probably the best thing that we could do is find a good project for Arnold, like somewhere in Africa, a long location film shoot where, he's...
I think his last great hit was 10 years ago. And he hasn't had a good hit after that, and I don't want to give him a sequel. And I've got this little saying that I say that Arnold Schwarzenegger is to the governor's office what General Hospital is to medicine. It's just that simple. If you compare the two resumes of Phil Angelides and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you had to hire one of those men to be your CEO, you certainly would pick Phil Angelides, who's got all the experience of being a treasurer, who's had all the experience over the years of working in the State Democratic Party, and Phil is hands down more qualified. And Arnie can possibly beat Phil at the box office, but Angelides can beat Arnie in the governor's office.
I want to ask a question, because Arnie keeps telling everybody that Phil Angelides is going to raise our taxes. Is that true? Is he really going to do that?
Not you and me. Unless you're a multimillionaire.
No, not yet. No.
You're not. No. Not. Okay. Phil Angelides talks about raising taxes, and not a huge amount for people over $400,000 in income annually. He's not talking about you and me. In fact, he's talking about a middle-class tax cut for us to help us out. And, the press and the media, who tend to be a little bit more conservative these days, I think gone is the days of what we call the liberal media, since the corporate takeovers of the TV stations and the ownership, and we know what the Faux News Network is, or Fox News Network is all about. They don't tend to report fairly now, and no, that's not the case. Arnold is actually misleading us all, like he does very well, and we don't want to give him a sequel. So.
Okay. Well, all right. Now let's get down to brass tacks then. Since you're sitting in the Cannabis Camera high chair, we're going to ask you the Cannabis Camera question
of the week.
The question of the week is, since you're running for state assembly, do you support medical marijuana?
I absolutely support medical marijuana use, and I will not back down from that.
Now, you told us a story a little while ago about your aunt. Would you like to tell us that story again?
I can tell you in certain parts because I don't have the permission of her immediate family
give
to do
us
that.
a quick rundown.
The quick rundown is that my aunt had cancer. She had an 11-year battle with cancer, and she was dying because she couldn't nourish herself any longer. She couldn't keep food down. And her sons, who are very influential in government and in the military and high-ranking military officers, knew that if they got her marijuana and treated her medically, that she would be able to eat again. And they did, and she lived another 3 years. Rest her soul and bless her heart. She's very close to me. I loved her very, very much. And knowing her as she was a school board president and somebody that never smoked a tobacco cigarette in her whole entire life, but had to come to this, and what a shame it was that it kind of had to be hid behind the curtains, and that somebody in their latter years of their life, their latter moments of their life, had to kind of to think this over and go through that sort of process. It should be open to people who truly need it. It's natural, and it's something that does help people, and that's why I'm for it. That's why I'm for the legalized use of medical marijuana.
Well, that's really great. I want to tell you that, this is the first Democrat we've had on our show that actually survived the high chair and, passed it, because none of the other, they just don't want to answer the question right out. They always want to hedge it. They always want to say, well, it's okay for extreme cases. As long as you're dying, it's okay.
I'm not a girly man. But, there's nothing wrong with being a girl. I don't, that's kind of an insult on women, to be honest with you. A lot of men, don't like feminine qualities in other men, but they like feminine qualities. Well, let's get over it, folks. Sometimes having those qualities, we both have our mother and our father in us, and so I don't want to be insulting to females. But
now, like I do all the other candidates, at the end of the interview, I give you the opportunity to make whatever statement you'd like to make. This is your opportunity, the last-ditch, last-moment effort before the election happens on November 7th. By the way, you'll probably be seeing this just before the election. So here's an opportunity for you to make your final statement so that we can get as many people to get out and vote as possible.
Well, I'm going to Sacramento not just on a personal agenda like my opponent, who has been a very good proponent of himself over the years. I'm going to Sacramento because I want to be the first Democrat in 38 years to be elected to the 63rd Assembly District, which is San Bernardino, Rancho Cucamonga, Highland, Yucaipa, Redlands, Upland, part of Moreno Valley, and in that area, to represent those people in Sacramento for the first time in 38 years, to make sure that they have affordable housing, that the dream of owning a home is not out of reach for generations to come, to make sure that we have affordable health care, our educational system is not broken, and that we're no longer 48th out of 50 in per capita spending in the nation, and that Sacramento comes back and our schools come back and the state of California comes back to being the state it was for the people. We have a dual economy going on right now. We've heard about the state being the 5th largest economy in the world, and I think that's great for corporations, but I don't think that is the truth for the average working family in California. My opponent voted to not raise. He voted against raising the minimum wage 3 times in the past 2 years. And over those 2 years, he gave himself $14,500 in pay raises, which if you calculate how much somebody makes in making minimum wage, it's about $1,100 more than somebody making minimum wage. So the Press Enterprise recently said that he represented the people well. And I don't know how someone who has a 20% approval rating with the California National Organization of Women, who has a 17% approval rating with the California Consumer Agency, who is someone who has a 25% approval rating with the California Congress of Seniors, and a 31% approval rating with the California Alliance of Retired People, is representing the people well. He's not. He voted 14 out of 25 times against bills that would represent seniors. He voted 9 out of 13 times against bills that would help women. And it goes on and on about education, about health care. He voted against giving 850,000 children health care. Ultimately, he voted for the budget that did not include it, but he very much worked in the committees to make sure that it was edited out of the budget this year. And we need to erase that sort of person from Sacramento. We need to have an advocate for the people in Sacramento. We need to have an advocate for the people in the 63rd Assembly District. I want to be that person. I'm working very hard to be that person, and I want to represent the people of the 63rd Assembly District. So thank you very, very much for giving me this opportunity.
Well, thank you for coming on our show.
Thank you
very much.
Thank
Great.
you.